Hello, book connectors. Welcome back to the Book Connection. I am your host, Blue-eyed Black Devil, and this time I am here with a video for the book Pride. Now, as we know, Pride is the fifth and final book in the Seven Deadly Sins series written by Victoria Christopher Murray. I don't understand, but I have tried to find sloth and gluttony, but I haven't been able to find them. So, Victoria Christopher Murray, if somehow this passes your ears, please bless us with the last two so we can wrap this series up. Okay, now, on to the story. Now, Journey Alexander is a very successful mortgage broker. She dated Ethan Thomas for roughly 3 to 4 years. Now they've broken up. He is a successful lawyer. I'm not sure what branch of law he studies, but evidently it has to do with, I guess, scamming and fraud, because Journey used to work with a man named Simon. Simon had his whole reputation, or his whole career, I should say, was built out of bilking people out of their life savings, promising to put them in homes that they cannot afford, and then he pockets the money. Now, Journey thinks, although she knows what he's doing is illegal, she thinks because she's not the one out there managing the money and nothing is in her name saying that she was the one that authorized anything. All she was supposed to have done, and according to her, is all she did do, which was find homeless people, introduce them to Simon. And so, how is it that homeless people can have life savings? And I don't mean that in a negative way, but somehow she introduced him to a lot of homeless people. And what he would do is, let's say he tells you're worth about $100,000. And he can get them in a house, and it'll be their dream home and all of this stuff. And when he gives them the keys to these supposed houses, he will also cut them a check for like $25,000. So he'll give you a percentage of your money back. It's just that you don't know that is your money, because he's taken it and fondled it into other funds and offshore accounts and stuff to keep himself hidden out. So he give them a percentage, and they think, oh, he found me a place to stay and he gave me some money. And they used a lot of them, would buy furniture and decorate their homes and do whatnot, but he's been found out. So, Journey goes to her ex-boyfriend's office one day, and she tells him all that's going on with her and Simon. He told her, I told you from the jump that there was something about that man I did not like. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I just knew he was very suspicious to me. And so one day she comes home before they broke up, and she shows him that she had just gotten a commission on a sale, and it was for like $1,000. And he was like, okay, but now I keep telling you to leave that man alone. You have just become a licensed mortgage broker. There is no reason. You have your own firm and you're doing well. You're in real estate. You do. So even though on the up and up. It looks like Simon is on the up and up. You know better. You know what it is. Why you keep choosing to turn a blind eye, I don't know. So then when she has to go in there years later and tell him, okay, so you were right. And so he was like, I'll think about it. I don't know. So he let her stew overnight and on into the middle of the next day before he called and told her that he would represent her. Okay, she thought she could use her feminine wiles to seduce him into coming back to her. She kept trying to get him to come to her condo. He was like, no, let's meet at Starbucks right around the corner from you. Or we can meet at somewhere. Anyway, she kept trying to say, no, I don't want us to be seen out in public because I have to talk to you about some things. I just don't want to run a risk of someone seeing us, out there talking. But one day they were at Starbucks and then she was like, let's just go back up to my condo. And he was like, nah, but we will go to my car. So they sat in the car and she told him whatever. Now, along with all of that, as of late, Journey has been getting texts. She, the sender is unknown to her, but they will always leave messages like, you may think you're in the clear now, but vengeance is mine. Another text may say, you might have got punished, but that was a slap on the hand. Vengeance is mine. Now, I'm not saying that's what the text is saying. I'm just using those as examples, how the text always is some sort of warning, letting her know. So, when Simon, he was like, if I represent you, you have to be upfront and honest with me. There is no reason I should have to ask you anything. In other words, you need my help, not me needing you. So, you're looking at possibly doing some time if they find you. He said, but another reason I need you to tell me everything there is to know about Simon is because Simon is who they want. They don't want you, but they will get you if it means getting to Simon. And so she was like, I promise. I'll do everything you said for me to do. I'll tell you everything going forward. And so she did up until, Simon's niece, Vivian, and Journey used to be best friends. And, but they became arch rivals because for some reason Simon had his niece Vivian doing the same thing that Journey did. But at some point, Simon fires his niece and he takes Journey as her replacement. And so Vivian, she didn't like that. I understand that. So they just really weren't getting along anymore. And one while, Journey, when she first was telling Ethan about those text messages, and after he got through explaining to her that she needed to be honest all the way through and through, she was like, I will, but now what about the text? He said, I think those texts are nothing to worry about. That's just somebody trying to get under your skin. Don't worry about it. It's just people. As long as you don't reply to them, they'll stop. But they never did stop. Okay. So when Vivian and Journey fell out as friends and she kept getting the text, she was like, do you think it could be Vivian? Ethan was like, it could. I don't know. But I think that you have bigger fish to fry. Has anyone ever has anything or anyone acted on those threats? And she was like, well, no. But still, they bothered me. And so she goes on now. Vivian has one younger sister. Her name is Windsor. Her mother let her choose the name of the baby when she was born, and she chose the name Windsor. So their parents, well, their father passed away when Windsor was like 2, and Journey was like 6. So she knew a little bit more about her dad than Windsor did. Now, growing up, or up until Journey was about 7 years old, she worshiped the ground her mother walked on. Now, the father, when he passed, he did work, but he had not worked long enough. He had a heart attack, so he died basically without leaving them anything. So now the mom is taking jobs wherever she can. She's cleaning houses, office buildings, anything to pay. But now they used to go to this church, and the pastor's wife used to work with like state-run agencies and local children's welfare agencies. Somehow she convinced their mother, the pastor's wife convinced their mother, Journey and Windsor, to at least sign guardianship or custody of Journey over until she could, get steady on her feet. So obviously, Journey didn't know that she was getting ready to go. But one day, she did. Now, the month before she left her mother's care, someone had sponsored them and put them in a hotel. So for 30 days and nights, they would be in the hotel, and they provided them with food. I don't know if they gave them money to eat out or if they just ate from the hotel restaurant in there. Either way it goes, Journey knew at the end of the day, she knew where she was going to lay her head, and she was going to be with the people she loved most. So all was right in her world. And then just imagine the shock she must have felt the next day when she eventually finds out that she wasn't going to be with her mother anymore. So because of that, she just hates her mom. She hates her mom. And so that happened when Journey was 7. She did not lay eyes on her sister, Windsor, for 10 years. So when they reconnected, Journey was 17 and Windsor was 13, somewhere along in there. Now, Windsor had always grown with the mom, so she kept trying to beg Journey to forgive their mother. She was doing what she felt she had to do at the time, but Journey was not feeling that. She didn't care. All she knew is her mother just kind of left her hanging. Well, this church they used to go to, the pastor and his wife, they had a daughter named Ivy. Ivy Franklin was her name. And she used to do stuff to kind of taunt and tease Journey when they were in school. Now, the pastor's children went to private school, and Journey went, but she was a scholarship student. So they looked down their noses. And I don't even necessarily know if it was the other kids. I think it was mainly Ivy. She would do or say little digs towards Journey to let her know, you stay in your place. You don't get happy with me. So Journey didn't really care for Ivy. But how about that's who Ethan ended up dating? She found that out the day Ethan and Journey had that meeting in the car. And then someone taps the window. Ethan gets out. A cab pulls up and Ivy gets out. Journey sees, okay, at this time, Journey don't know who the woman is, but she did see Ethan pull the lady into his arms and kiss her. So she gets out the car ready to do battle because she knew some other woman was trying to move in her ex-man that she wanted back. So when she gets out, Ethan steps back and says, "Oh, Journey, I want you to meet someone." And so they introduced, and then the woman, time before he could say Journey again, Ivy was like, "Journey, is that you? It's really you?" And Journey still didn't recognize her for a minute, but eventually she does. And she's like, "It's been so long, and it's so good to see you," and blah, blah, blah. And Journey was like, "Yeah, right, okay." So she didn't really care for Ivy, but most of the reason she didn't like her is because of the way Ivy treated her when they were growing up. Ivy was like, "Yeah, I did say some things, but that's all water under the bridge now. We're grown, and Journey didn't care. She simply just did not care." So they just went on about their business, but Ethan did tell Journey that Ivy was going to help him in his caseload, and that she was one of the ones that she would be. That Journey is one of the cases that Ivy won't have as much access because he is the lead attorney. But she would be there, Ivy would, to assist him whenever needed. So Journey didn't like it, but oh well, she couldn't do anything about it. So they go on a vacation for the weekend. Ethan and Ivy, gosh, it's getting hard to remember. So Ethan and Ivy went on a long weekend vacation. Journey goes home and Stu's in her condo, but then her sister knocks on the door and tells her that she had gotten a call for an interview at some prestigious agency. So she came to raid Journey's closet, and all was going well and stuff. And then Windsor says, "Don't you think it's about time for you to go back and talk to Mom, or at least hear her out?" And everything just went cold from there. She's like, really, she's tried. She regrets it so bad. Journey, can't you find it in your heart? No, I cannot find that. She gave me away. She willingly gave me away. She said, "Well, you just don't know what Mama went." She said, "Well, whatever it is," you're right, I don't know what she went through. But what I do know is you were there all along. Why was I the one that had to go? I didn't want you to go either. But I had to go. I didn't have a choice. So no, I'm not interested. And I paid for her anyway. I paid for the house you all live in. I buy groceries from time to time. I even sponsored trips for the two of you. But that girl was like, "But Journey was like, I'm getting ready to get in the shower. You can let yourself out and make sure you put my emergency lock back on the door." So when Journey left, when Windsor left, Journey went and made sure that lock was on the door. She went on back to bed. Well, Sunday rolls around and she decides to get up and go to the gym. All right. She does whatever she's gonna do in the gym. She comes out to get in her car. One of her tires is flat. So up walks Quincy. He just apparently had been working out at the gym as well. And so he's like, "Oh, well, looks like you have a flat." And she was like, "Yeah, I'll have to call someone." And he was like, "Well, I can do it." And she was like, really? So he did. He put that spare on, and he followed her to the tire shop to get another tire to go on her car. And so that's all it was that time. But they met at the gym another time, and eventually he gets her phone number. So he started leaving little messages and taking her out to dinner, some of the finest restaurants in Houston. And so all sounds well and good. He was a school teacher. And he, on that first couple of weeks when they would go out and stuff, he would entertain her with things that his students would do and say. And now he knew she was a mortgage broker. And so everything was going. He appeared to have his own, and so did she. And he was asking, like, do you have any siblings? He was like, no. And his mother was successful at something. And she was like, oh, I would love to meet your mother one day. And then the oddest look came across Quincy's face. Like he could just off somebody right here, right now. So, but it would come and then it would just disappear. And he would go on talking as if he hadn't looked that way. Well, this happened about 3 or 4 times throughout about 2 months' time. And one day he said, I wish you had met my mother. She is deceased, but I wish you had met her. She was like, well, I may have met her before, just didn't know it. He like, yeah, you could have. And so she never would question what that look was. She just went on, but she did make a mental note, and she mentioned it to Ethan one day. Ethan and Ivy ended up at the same restaurant that Journey and Quincy were having lunch that particular day. So then later on, when Ethan got by himself with Journey, he told her, look, I know you say I might be paranoid, but I don't trust that dude either. He's right up there with Simon. It's only a matter of time. And she was like, yeah, you're right. You are paranoid for no particular reason. You are like, I just don't have any discernmentship. He was like, trust me, I don't know what it is. I just hope that when it all comes out in the wash, you're going to be okay. So that's what it was. So they go on living life. Well, eventually, Journey shows up at Vivian's house unannounced because she wanted to ask her if she was behind all of those mysterious texts that she had been receiving. She really didn't believe Vivian at first, but when she left, she did say, well, maybe, just maybe, she's not behind it. Because Vivian, at this time, her Uncle Simon had just, gotten arrested, like I said. And Vivian said, we don't have to be friends anymore. We really don't. But what I wish we would do is not turn on each other because they're after Uncle Simon. And so, if you don't do anything else for me, let's just agree that, in order for us to just move past all of this nonsense, let's not say anything that could get Uncle Simon in trouble because, if he knows or feels like we're the reason he got in trouble, then, he'll come for us. And so, Journey agreed to it. Only, it was a while later. And Vivian ends up getting arrested, and it's all over the TV. And Simon hadn't gotten arrested yet. But Journey was like, did you see that? They picked Vivian up, and Ethan was like, yeah, you better keep your nose clean. Has anything else happened? Oh, no. But she did not tell Simon. that she had found him assignment, a few more victims. He found that out when the rest of the world did, so he was just willing to wash his hands of Journey. He's like, I'm not going down in this ship. I told you when you first told me this stuff to come clean. You should not have said or did anything. There was nothing Simon should have been able to tell you that could make you come back and do anything. Anything. So he got mad and she cried, but his fiancée, Ivy, talked to Journey, and she was like, now, I know you know Ethan, what he told you, and he's a hard-working man, but I will try to convince him to keep you, don't drop you, but I can't do it if you're only going to turn around and do it again, say something to somebody else, because Ethan had told, look, do not talk to, correspond with anybody. And even if you're not dealing with Simon or Vivian, if Simon comes up, you just act like you're not there. Don't say anything. Don't try to look any way different. Just let them say what they're going to say. So when Ivy tells Journey this, Journey thinks it over. But then it took a weekend, but Ivy did convince Ethan to continue being her legal representation. Because at the end of the day, I do believe that both Journey and Ethan still loved each other, but their love had no longer been like romantic love, but he had, invested so much with her. He saw her grow and travel, and he was there whenever she would have issues with her mother and stuff. So that's how he ended up continuing to represent her. Vivian gets out of jail, but then Quincy, they were supposed to go somewhere to eat, but they ended up not going. One day at work, this news reporter and some other people came in, I guess the news crew, they came in, and they were talking about Vivian being related to Simon, and they were there saying, we just want to know, did you ever work for Simon? And so Journey was like, look, I know him, and that's all I'm going to say. This, that, and the other. Well, after that was over, right when it was getting ready to start, really, the FBI comes in. All of these photographers are there. The news press was there, and there was nothing Journey could do about it. They seized everything in her office. And so when Ethan finds out and he talks to Journey, he's like, well, don't let them break you. You're not who they want. Now, I can't promise you that you won't do anything. But Simon is the big fish. That's who they are after. They're just using you and possibly Vivian to get to him. So she was like, well, will I get arrested? He said, you shouldn't, but I can't honestly say that you won't. And so a few days later, she was in her condo. She had gotten ready to go somewhere. And time she stepped outside, before she could even close the door, that same FBI agent was there with all of her credentials to tell her that they were going to have to seize everything in her condo. So, hush, Rocco. She ends up having to go to her mom and sister's house. And so this is all over the news now. Journey finds out like maybe a few days before all of this happened, that her mother had been in the hospital because she had bronchitis. It was really bad. And so they were like, she doesn't have long to live. And so Journey was like, so? But when she needed a place to stay, she went to their house and they began talking, and she found out that her mother was convinced by the pastor's wife to turn Journey over to the welfare agency. And the lady told her, like, really and truly, see, right now, as young as Windsor is, it's really not costing you anything to keep her. But see, Journey is enrolled in school. She has different requirements. She needs a little bit more time and attention, and you really can't afford a wardrobe and all of this stuff. So, you can get her back. It won't be a problem. And so the lady eventually broke her down, and so she told the pastor's wife, yeah, you can take Journey. And so they cried over that, and they were okay. All right, one morning, Journey goes into the kitchen. Her mother and Windsor were already there, and they had bacon and waffles, and they were just talking. All of a sudden, there's a pounding on the door. FBI found out that's where Journey was. I'm not even sure if Ethan knew that's where Journey was at that time. So they go over to her mom's house. Now, they did not seize anything out of their house, but they did take Journey to jail. So she calls, what's that man's name? Quincy. No answer, no answer, no answer. And in jail, people are hostile, even the ones that work there. She was like, well, that call didn't count. Nobody answered. She said, oh, well, all I know is you only have 10 minutes to make a phone call, and 5 of them are already gone. So eventually, she did get Journey, and she did get Quincy. Now, before she went to her mother's house, I forgot this, she called Quincy, and she was crying, telling him all that was going on. And he was like, I'll be over there. So he came. Then another time, she needed him for something. Before they seized her property, she called, and she was like, she got in her car and left, and she drove to the school that Quincy said he worked where he worked. So she gets there and finds out that no one named Quincy Carruthers worked or was a student at that school. So she calls Quincy, and she's like, I was trying to come to you. I went to the school you said you worked for, and they said you don't work there. He got a little heated under the car. Why would you go to my job? Anyway, I don't work at that school. I work at the one over, another side of town. So she said, I just need you. I have a lot going, because he kept telling her, never hesitate to call him. And he always showed up. So one day she was like, don't they say anything to you about always just showing up during the middle of a school day? You just leave and go. He was like, it's cool. It's cool. I have the time built up and stuff. So he was like, okay, I feel you. He said, but let me come to your house. And she was like, well, why not just, I'm already out. Why can't I just come to your place? And he let her come. But it was sparse compared to her condo. Now, we all know, or should know, that just because his apartment was sparse in comparison to hers, we all know teachers, that's about the most thankless job anyone could be paid for. And I say that because they don't really pay them any money. They don't really make much money being teachers. Real people who want to be teachers have to teach because that's a passion. Please don't go into it just for money. But even with that being said, and even if he is a teacher, no, he's not going to have what you have. His salary doesn't compare to yours at all. Okay, so she gets over and they just keep talking. And so when she went to jail, she finally got in touch with him. And he didn't say he was coming to get her. He was like, I hear you. So the next day, she gets a visitor. The lady comes, the guard, and says, you have a visitor. I'm sorry if y'all hear that the lawnmower out there. Says, you have a visitor. And she's thinking, wow, it's Journey. Or perhaps my mom and, not Journey, but Windsor. It may be Windsor and my mom. But she goes there, and all the way across the room stands Quincy. So they couldn't have any physical contact, but she rushes him. And she was like, I thought you came to get me out? He was like, now why would I get you out? And she was like, excuse me? Yeah, why would I get you out? You are in here for committing crimes. And she said, but it wasn't me. And she tried to plead her case. So he slid a piece of paper under the little window there. And she pulled it. He put the piece of paper through that little slit. And it was turned face down. So when she touched it and pulled it so she could see it, he said, turn it over. And she turned the page over. It was his mom. His mom had deleted herself when she thought she was getting her dream home. That's where all of those odd looks kept coming up on Quincy's face. He somehow found out who Journey was in connection to his mother. So he was like, no, I ain't got nothing for you. Nothing. You know, as far as I'm concerned, basically, you rotten hell. So then, the next day, her sister shows up and she gets her out. The bad news was that the mother passed away. It was so much on her when they came to her house and arrested Journey. So they go to that same church they grew up attending. And they had an altar call. Journey and Windsor looked at each other. But Journey did go up, and she got on her knees, and they prayed together and all of this. And then when she goes back to her seat, they standing up now because church is about to dismiss. She grabs Windsor, and they stand there and cry and hug for about 5-10 minutes. And pretty much this is how this book ends. She's repaired her relationship with their mother, and although the mother didn't really get to live too much after she and Journey had reunited, she had left money because Journey was like, I don't know what in the world, how am I going to make a living? And then Windsor was like, don't worry about it. She said, Mom always had money set aside. And if there was ever you needed some money, she always left it there. So you don't have to worry about that. Mom always looked out for you, Journey. It's just that I guess you just had to go through what you had to go through. So, and as far as Quincy, I don't know if he went to jail. We just never heard anything after he made her know that she was part of the reason his mother was no longer alive. Okay, book connectors, this is it for this particular video. I thank you all for joining me, and I hope you are enjoying my videos. This was a long one too, but it seems like people enjoy the longer ones. But anyway, subscribers, thank you so much for being subscribed. Visitors, thank you so much for viewing the channel. And everyone, please, oh please, oh please, make sure you are subscribed. If you're not seeing my videos, please just type in the Book Connection or the Blue-Eyed Black Devil. And everyone, please do not forget to like, share, comment respectfully. And by all means, make sure once you know you are subscribed, make sure your notification bells are not only on, but they need to be set to all, so you'll know whenever I upload a video. And in the meantime, book connectors, remember this: as long as there are books around, there is always something to read. And until we connect again, book connectors, be safe out there. Have a wonderful evening, night, and the rest of a week. Until we connect again, book connectors, be safe out there. And God bless.